when you aim for a 10 times gain instead, you have to throw out the pre-existing assumptions of how to train. You don't have to believe it's possible right now. It can be a long shot, but it has to be within whatever you think is within the realm of possibility. And I encourage you to expand that. Now, when it comes to setting a goal, there's two parts. There's where your goal is coming from. How high are you shooting? How low are you shooting? Do you really believe in your goal? What does your goal mean to you? The place it's coming from. And then there's the actual goal itself, which is what kind of time do you want to run for a distance, or what kind of distance you want to complete, or any number of things. Those are mainly the ones that people are going after. This video is going to be on the former, on where does your goal come from? Now, when you're setting a goal, it has to, you can do whatever you want, right? But if you want a true breakthrough performance, it really has to inspire you. So, if you ran a 350 marathon and you're now shooting for a 348, there's nothing wrong with that. But maybe you'd feel better if you ran a 240 or a 230 or a 3 hour. Did I say 2? I meant 3 hour. You know what I mean. So where it's coming from, it has to inspire you. The goal has to actually lift you up. And the way that works is, like, how do you know? Does this inspire me to run 10 minutes faster, 20 minutes faster, an hour faster? 2 hours faster? It's like, what inspires you? It should be just to the point where it scares you. Just a little bit, where you're a little bit unsure if you can do it or not. Now, I'm going to give you a little example here. If you know who this guy is, his name is Astro Teller, and he is the guy who runs Google X. So Google X is also called the Moonshot Factory. It's called the Moonshot Factory because the way that this guy goes about approaching and executing on high-level problems is to just completely redo an industry and to, as he says, 10x, not 10%. And so the way that he views solving a problem, setting a goal and then meeting it, is it's the convergence of a couple of things. You have, in his words, you have a huge problem. Now, in your running, from the perspective of your running, running a PR or having a good race is a huge deal, right? Within the construct of your running in your life. You want it, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And then in order to do that, you have to do something kind of revolutionary. You have to do something much different than you've done before. And so he would call that breakthrough technology. We would call it breakthrough training or breakthrough mindset, a breakthrough approach to the way that you go about getting your goal, right? And then the third aspect is a radical solution, and that is your training plan, the actual day-to-day tasks of what you're doing. Now, when those all converge, in the middle there, this is for Google X, right? But right in the middle there, that's where your breakthrough performance can happen. And so I'm going to quote Astro Teller here for you. He says, "Here is the surprising truth. It is often easier to make something 10 times better than it is to make it 10% better." Yes, really. Because when you're working to make things 10% better, you inevitably focus on the existing tools and the existing assumptions that you have, and you end up building on top of a solution that many people have already spent a lot of time building on, including yourself. You just build on top of it. Such incremental progress is driven by what? It's driven by extra effort. You got to put in more to get out more. So to continue his quote, it's tempting to feel that improving things in this way with the extra effort means that you're being a good soldier. But most of the time we find ourselves stuck in the same old thing. So have you plateaued in your running, in your training? Are you getting little improvements, but not that real big upshoot that you're hoping for, that you're really training for? So when you aim for a 10 times gain instead, you have to throw out the pre-existing assumptions of how to train from where you are now. It takes two things. First, it takes creativity. Second, it takes bravery. You can't just do the same thing. You have to actually think outside the box a little bit. Get creative. Do something new, like, adding in hill sprints, adding in some new kind of workout, adding in downhill runs, something different, right? Upping your mileage, perhaps. Maybe not upping your mileage and taking more recovery time. Get creative. And then bravery to actually stick it out with that training plan. The bravery to actually execute in a new way. And this isn't just a small adding in this one workout once a week necessarily. It's viewing your training in a different way. And that takes bravery, because we keep, how many times have you gone through a training cycle and you basically train the same way? Maybe a little more miles, maybe a little more speed work, but it's basically the same structure, similar structure. And do you get similar results? If you want a different result, that's where the bravery comes in. Now, this guy, have you heard of Spud Webb? I think it was in the 80s. Spud Webb is a 5'7" NBA player. 5'7". So he's got guys that are towering over him. Now, what's the one thing that a 5'7" basketball player probably can't do? And that's slam dunk, right? But here is Spud Webb entering into the slam dunk contest. Boom! Look at that little guy just knocking it out of the park here. And so when thinking about a goal, do you think you can do it? Do you think that you can be a Spud Webb? And nobody would think that this guy could win an NBA dunk contest. Did he have a limiting belief on himself? Did he act within reason in order to get his goals? Or did he just show up? Did he train? Did he have full belief in himself? And then did he show up on the day and execute? Boom, look at that guy. And so when it comes to setting your goals, I want to remind you that it should inspire you. It should be outside of what you think you can do. Now, how far outside? That basically comes down to how much uncertainty in your life can you handle and still be happy. The more, the better, but only if you can handle it. If you set a goal that's far too big, it's not that you can't attain the goal, but it's that it's too uncomfortable for you. And when in discomfort, we kind of freeze. When we don't really believe something, then we won't take the appropriate action. So how big does your goal need to be? Should it be? I can't tell you that. I can tell you that it needs to be on the other side of your comfort zone, and significantly on the other side of your comfort zone. You have to believe it's possible. And you know what? You don't have to believe it's possible right now, but you have to be able to imagine that you can grow into thinking that it's possible. If you really had some good changes going on inside of you and you really focused and you really trained, that yeah, that's possible. It can be a long shot, but it has to be within whatever you think is within the realm of possibility. And I encourage you to expand that a little bit. So remember this one thing. To set a powerful mindset requires two things. It requires guts and it requires tenacity. So the tenacity is where you get out there and you do your training. But the guts is when you are setting your goal. The guts can also be on race day. It can be in other things too. But where does guts show up for you early on in the process? It shows up when you set your goal. So to sum it up, it should inspire you. It should stretch your comfort zone as far as you can, because the quality of our life is determined by how much uncertainty we can handle. Uncertainty is variety. It's the spice of life, right? And finally, it's going to take tenacity to execute on your training, but it's going to take guts in order to set that goal. So I encourage you guys to get into a powerful state, to focus on what feels good, focus on what is wanted, and then set your goal from there. Hey, if you liked that video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. And the best way to give back is to take the link for this video and send it to just one of your friends. It really helps us grow. We appreciate it. Thank you. We'll see you on the next video.